Do you want to look at that?
Good evening, Farmington Hills. Welcome to the first meeting of 2023 of the Farmington Hills City Council. It is January 9th, 2023. Remember to write that on all of your checks. I know I've messed up a few already, beginning of the month bills. So I just want to welcome everybody. If you would like to speak on an item that is on the agenda, please fill out a blue form that you will find in the back of the room. If you want to speak on something that's not on the agenda, we have public questions and comments coming up soon for you. So we will begin, as we always do, with a pledge of allegiance. So will everybody join me in saying the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is the roll call.
Mayor Barnett.
Here.
Council members Bullaware.
Here.
Bridges.
Here.
Bruce.
Here.
Knoll. Here. Massey.
Here.
And Newland. Here. Thank you.
Next is the approval of the regular session meeting agenda. Dr. Massey?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would move that we approve the agenda as published.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Massey, seconded by Councilmember Bridges. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is approved unanimously. Next is the introduction of our new Human Resources Director, Lori Brown, and I will turn it over to the City Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I am very happy to introduce Lori Brown as our new Human Resources Director. She's been with us for several years, and she was the Human Resources Specialist under our previous city Human Resources Director. And is just an outstanding individual and an outstanding applicant. So congratulations, Lori. If you'd like to say a few words, we're excited to hear from you, Lori.
All right, thank you, Gary, for your kind words. I really appreciate it. To Council, President, Mayor Pro Tem, and council members and guests, good evening. I am excited for this promotion as Director of Human Resources and the opportunity to join the city's executive team. As noted, I have worked for the city for nearly 8 years, working alongside a wonderful group of people. I am committed to continuing to make significant contributions in this role by bringing some of the best talent to Farmington Hills. Finally, I'd like to thank our department heads, in particular Gary and Joe, for advocating on my behalf, and I look forward to working on various initiatives in the future. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Well, you've been here, but congratulations.
And Madam Mayor, if I may, and City Council, Lori was just an outstanding applicant. She came to the interview and she had all of the vision of where where she wanted to take the department and how to leverage technology. As you know, we're trying to get the new ERP system that's on the agenda this evening. There's also a human resource HRM module that goes with that across the enterprise. And Lori and I and Joe have always joked, we're bound and determined to move the technology perspectives of our human, and this is no slam against our central services department. We're bound and determined to move our human resources digital footprint to at least 2010, right?
2010.
Yeah. So, good job.
Well, I don't know. Director Monaco seems to have all the right people there to help me get online. So we're all doing fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Continue to look for good things coming out of your office. Next is the introduction of the new, correspondence. Does anybody have any correspondence that we all did not receive? No? Okay, moving on is the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered routine, administrative, or non-controversial by the City Council and will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the items may be removed from the consent agenda for consideration. I know we're going to have at least 2 motions on this because we have the meeting minutes and we had an absent member. So, oh, thank you. I forgot about Randy. It will be read by our Mayor Pro Tem, Dr. Randy Bruce.
Thank you, Mayor. Consent agenda item number 6, recommended approval of collective bargaining agreement for ASME Local 1456 CMR 12302. Number 7, recommended approval of amendment to city manager employment agreement, CMR 123-03. Number 8, recommended approval of support for the City of Farmington's Resolution 1222-033 that establishes a commercial truck turn prohibition from northbound Farmington Road to eastbound Grand River Avenue and establishes a detour route for commercial truck traffic, CMR 12304. Number 9, recommended approval of solid waste services contract amendment with GFL Environmental Incorporated for the purpose of adding a trash cart option, CMR 12305. Number 10, recommended approval of extension of agreement for 2023 Spring-Summer Citywide Planting Program to Crimboli Nursery Incorporated, CMR 12306. Number 11, recommended approval of award of bid for window washing at City Hall to Global Building Maintenance for an estimated amount of $10,000 per year with extensions, CMR 12307. Number 12, recommended approval of award of bid for 2023 as-needed fence repair program to RMD Holdings in the amount not to exceed $50,000 per year with extensions, CMR 12308. Number 13, recommended approval of award for the proposal for copier and printer management to Applied Innovations with the Great American Financial Services for a 5-year period and an approximate amount of $155,000 per year with extensions, CMR 12309. Number 14, recommended approval of award proposal to BS&A for implementation and subscription of an enterprise resource planning solution in an initial amount of $490,265 with extensions and approval of award of proposal to Andrews Technology UKG implementation and subscription of an advanced time and attendance solution in an amount of $85,340 with extensions. Number 15, recommended approval of purchase of F-550 hook loading dump truck, additional attachments and salt spreader with truck and trailer specialties in an amount not to exceed $103,000, and purchase of F-550 truck chassis with Lunghammer Ford in the amount of $57,503, CMR 123-11. Number 16, recommended approval of purchase of infrastructure implementation and cloud software subscription for disaster recovery as a service to Access Interactive in the amount of $77,481 for 1 year with extensions and initial setup of the system in the amount of $27,720, CMR 123-12. Number 17, recommended approval of setting the goal session meeting date of January 21st, 2023, and joint meeting date of January 25th, 2023. Number 18, recommended approval of City Council study session meeting minutes of December 12th, 2022. And number 19, recommended approval of City Council regular session meeting minutes of December 12th, 2022.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Knoll?
Mayor, I would like to request that items 6 and 7 be voted on separately. I believe there's some other items that may need to be voted on separately as well, but I can start it off by making a motion to just for items 6 and 7 on the
Okay.
consent agenda.
Okay, so it's been moved by Councilmember Knoll, seconded by Councilmember Massey.
And this is a motion for the approval, I'm sorry. if I
Right,
didn't say
right.
that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Newland? Yes. Bulaware?
Yes.
Massey?
Yes.
Knoll?
No.
Bridges?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
And Mayor Barnett.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so 6 and 7 are done. Mr. Bridges?
Madam Mayor, I move the council approve the consent agenda items 8 through 17 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem Bruce.
Okay, it's been moved by Mr. Bridges, seconded by Dr. Massey. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmembers Bulaware?
Yes.
Massey?
Yes.
Knoll?
Yes.
Bridges?
Yes.
Bruce?
Yes.
Newland? Yes. And Mayor Barnett.
Yes.
Thank you.
That leaves 18 and 19 left. Dr. Massey? Oh, I have to look to you too. I forgot.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Madam Mayor, I would move approval of items 18 and 19 as read by the Mayor Pro Tem.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved by Dr. Massey, seconded by Dr. Bruce, the approval of 18 and 19 on the consent agenda. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote.
Councilmembers Massey,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Bullaware,
Abstain.
and Mayor Brenna.
Yes. And that brings us to public questions and comments. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes for any item before city council, not before council on the agenda. Is there anybody who wishes to speak?
Good evening to the mayor pro tem, to council, to all the other city staff that support these meetings and make them function, and to everybody in the audience. My husband and I just had an opportunity to go through a 9-week program with the Farmington Hills Police Department called the Citizens Academy. We met every, was it Wednesday, babe, or Tuesday? Was it Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Yeah, we met Wednesday night from 6 to 9 p.m. It was like going to college. We learned so much. We saw so much. And I would like to say every single resident, if you live in Farmington Hills, whether you're a taxpayer and you do pay taxes in your rent, you just pay it to the landlords and they pay the city. But I would encourage everyone to go through that program. If you want to talk about building a relationship with public safety, you can build a relationship if you understand what they do and under the auspices that they do certain things. There's a lot of us when we first started that, and we started that program in Southfield, where I'm also a homeowner and a taxpayer there in 2012, and I was one of those people that didn't always look so good at the cops because of the things that I had experienced or heard or witnessed in New York, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York originally. But when you go through the program and you see what they go through, you see to what degree, you see the hard efforts to take their oath to protect and serve seriously, you understand it better when you see it. Learned a lot. Even though I've gone through that program in Southfield, I learned a lot from Farmington Hills. We've got some great cops. We've got more good cops in our United States than we do bad cops, but I would encourage every single homeowner and person living in Farmington Hills to go through that program. It is absolutely awesome. You will be fingerprinted. They will run a background check because you're around a lot of secure things, but the information that you will learn, the coalition mindset that you will have after the program is priceless. And I just wanted everybody to know in that Milo scenario, I was very good. The range, I was awesome. I think in a previous life, I might have been a cop or Secret Service or CIA or
We've seen
something,
your
but
targets before.
yes.
I don't want to be in front of you with a
But
gun.
it is just absolutely amazing, and there's 2 guys here that was in the program with my husband and I. We had a ball. We learned a lot, and every single employee should go through that program because that's how we're going to build the coalition, the relationship, and have that community vested interest if you just understand and support your public safety. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. We've gotten a lot of rave reviews over that program, so I'm very happy to hear that you enjoyed it as well. Anybody else? Mr. Sweeney?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also went through the class, and it was most excellent instructional period. It was instructional. I make a distinction between instruction and training. The police cadets go through much more intense physical, emotional, legal training. We got a little peek into their world, which was, we appreciate being their guests for the evenings. But in addition to the training classes that Pam was talking about, we were in the station house, back and forth, in and out the lobbies. you see the whole real deal, not just the police room, the training room, and the police instructors. You see the shifts change, the people coming in, the people going out. The Milo was an interesting class, but what was more interesting to me was we had an opportunity for a police ride around to see our police officers out on the street interacting, and this is the unvarnished truth. Some of the funny, silly stuff and some of the stuff that, frankly, I'm glad that it's him out there every night and not me out there every night. But the professionalism, the integrity, the way they hold each other accountable, just plain the humanity of it. It was an amazing experience. And again, I recommend that all people who have a chance, because not everyone's going to have the chance, but those who do, please sign up and go.
Thank you very much. Mr. Mintz.
Thank you, Mayor Barnett, City Council, for allowing me to speak. Phil Mintz, the Citizens Police Academy was something I was very happy to be a part of. I fought hard to get into this class. There were like a few openings. I was like, oh, not going to get in, but somehow I got in. I have to thank Dr. Massey for dealing with the insane amount of texts for me trying to get in there. And I didn't bother you this time, Mayor Barnett. Be thankful for that. So, the important thing is, I mean, there was one sentence that I forgot who said this in the class, is that the police, the FHPD, their important role is to be able to protect and to keep our property, not property values, just to keep everything in check. Like, if the police are not serving their right duty around here, then we're going to lose revenue. We're going to have people move out of the city, and we don't want that. I mean, the amount of training, like Mike said, and she said too as well, is just a lot. I mean, one of the more important things I feel I wanted to touch on was the mental health. They feel mental health was so important. This department's probably light years ahead of all these other departments, with all these crazy stories we hear about with other police departments. They understand what's going on here. They know the importance of being good to residents, and then when people are pulled over, being fair and not being so suspicious, just trying to be as fair as possible. Just a wonderful program. I just really enjoyed it, and I think Chief King and everyone else and the City Council, and I wish we could try to push it more and have people understand why the police are doing this and that, instead of just jumping to crazy conclusions. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving on. We will have council members' comments and announcements. Dr. Massey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. First of all, I'm going to keep with the theme here, just because, and a number of council members had gone through the Citizens Police Academy as well. And all the comments are point on, you do learn a lot. But the reason I'm keeping with the theme is that January the 9th, every year since 1962, is our National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day. And we, as citizens, need to appreciate the job that the Farmington Hills Police Department and other police departments do for our community. But we're in Farmington Hills. We're the second safest city in the state. We've got all of these great programs out there. And we often think about and hear about what types of, police departments are doing this and police departments are doing that. We need to really appreciate, we have an accredited agency, not just accredited, but reaccredited, which means that we're following best practices. And that's one of the reasons that the mental health side of the policing is such an important, and it's both for the citizens' mental health as well as the police department's mental health. All of the support mechanisms are out there. So we're a safe city. We understand what law enforcement does. But also what we don't see often enough is the activities that go on behind the scenes. And I'm talking about, we came out of the holiday season. I sit on Farmington Youth Assistance, shop with a cop. The load a police car where people can go fill a police car with goods that are going to go out to people who are less fortunate than some of us, our Holiday Angels program, the Citizens Police Academy. All of these activities are things that our police officers do above and beyond. There are basketball games with community groups, volleyball games with community groups. They really do an outreach. And I think that we, as the citizens in this city, when we see our officers out and about, we deserve we deserve to say thank you to those police officers for what they do for us every single day. We don't always see it, but it's being done. So that's why I wanted to say I'm sticking with the theme. The other thing, we had a very interesting program, and Mr. Bridges and I had occasion to make some opening comments at the Business and Bagels event that was held on Friday afternoon, where we had a number of our citizen-run businesses, local businesses come in. It was set up through special services, so kudos to Kelly Monaco and all of the folks that are doing this great job to educate business community on what opportunities they have to work with the city, how they can bid on projects, what that process is, and even more importantly was the networking they did. So Tia Brockway, who is our Economic Development Director, she was here. The Greater Farmington Area Chamber of Commerce, Susan Arland, the CEO for that, was here. And it was great to feel the energy and the spectrum of the businesses that showed up and participated in this. And if I'm correct, Mike, you're gonna comment on this, but this is our third one of these? Second one? Yes, it started in 19 prior to the pandemic, and then it died. What a great way to get our business community involved. And we're talking small businesses to larger businesses. Let them know what that process is. It increases our vendor pool. It increases the chances that they're going to have more business. And I thought it was a very positive event.
That's great. Mr. Bridges?
Thank you. Yeah, I just wanted to add that the focus also was to focus on individuals that live in Farmington Hills as well. These are people, residents of our community, that are business owners that want to actually bid on or participate in our bidding process for city services. Excellent program. Couple comments regarding the Farmington Optimist Club, which is a youth service organization in Farmington Hills. Been around for 40 years now.
Yeah, 7 a.m. meetings, right?
Exactly. Councilmember Massey, as well as Councilmember Mayor Pro Tem Bruce is part of that group as well. It's an excellent organization in our city that provides several youth programs that benefit our youth. What a Pacific fundraiser that they're having is going to be coming up on January 21st at Country Lanes, located at 30250 West 9 Mile Road. The program is called Bowl for Childhood Health and Wellness. It's an excellent opportunity to help our youth and support programs regarding childhood health and wellness. Second point I want to make is that the Farmington Public Schools each Saturday have a program that all residents in our community can participate in. It's helping our kids who have homework assignment issues. These are kids that have some difficulty with homework assignments at school. It's an excellent program that takes place on every Saturday between 9 and 12 o'clock at the Maxfield Training Center between 9 and 11 o'clock. And we're asking for volunteers that can help our students who have difficulty with homework assignments in our community. It's an excellent opportunity to promote educational excellence in our community. And again, the Farmington Public Schools have this program for our youth, grades from first grade through 12th grade. The other thing, Mayor, is that we're going to be asking the city to sponsor a resolution for the Farmington Optimist Club. It's going to have their Optimist Day on February 3rd, and we'd like to have you come as well.
Okay, I would love to be there.
Thank you, appreciate that.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay, Councilmember Bolaware.
Yes, I like to stay on the theme that Ms. Gerald and the other two participants who attended the Citizens Police Academy. I attended that academy earlier with several of my council members, and it's a very eye-opening experience. I think we learned so much, but I was impressed with the science and the data that goes behind policing and their decisions that they make, and Also impressed with the implicit bias training and how Police Chief King is doing a great job over there in our police department, and how it's a very forward-leaning organization. They're constantly trying to improve. They're not saying that they're 100% where they want to be, but as long as they're constantly moving in that direction, I applaud them for that. And I would encourage any resident of Farmington Hills to attend the Police Academy. I assume that there's going to be another one coming up very shortly, and it will be posted more than likely on our website for those who are interested. And the second thing I'd like to talk about is upcoming on January 16th is Martin Luther King Day. And I think for the first time in the Farmington Hills City Administration, if I'm not mistaken, will be closed that day, as it would be an official holiday for us. And I'm glad to see that has happened. Also on that day, you know, our community library has great programming for the entire community on that day. And I hope that many of us can come out and attend the march or the programming given by many of the children here in Farmington Hills. Several of us on the council have agreed to be judges in certain contests that the children, I believe it's essay, that we're going to be go there Wednesday and make our judging decisions on that date. So I'm looking forward to that, and I hope that you can come out and participate. And to you, Mr. about the shooting experience at the training session, well, I was the worst shooter. So we're complete opposites. You know, it was difficult for me to hold that heavy Glock and try to shoot straight, but it was my first time ever holding a gun. And I know what that feels like now, and I know how difficult it must be with all that equipment to take a gun out and shoot and aim. And I just appreciate so much of what I've learned in that training academy. So I feel you on that one. Congratulations, because you're a better woman than I am. Okay.
Yes, Ms. Newland.
I'll continue the comments. I was also one of the participants in our first time for the Police Academy. Had a great time. I would highly, highly support anyone going through it. Now, unlike Councilwoman Jackie, I did very well shooting.
Yes,
but I
you
did have a
did.
little assistance because of the weight, so all I did was someone supported my weight, and I was a pretty decent, really good shot. But I want to do a shout out to our Chief King. I recently was a driver for the Goodfellows toy distribution and goods distribution, and here he was, and he lives far away. There he was with his family on a Saturday morning when he could have stayed at home, but no, he feels so part of this community that he brought his family over to help with that distribution that morning. So shout out to Chief King, feeling so part of the community.
Okay, I do want to just make one correction. Several years ago, the Farmington Hills City Council decided to be closed on Martin Luther King Day.
Okay.
So it's been several years now, but I think what you're talking about is how we're going to be celebrating the Juneteenth holiday, which is our newest national holiday, which is a holiday that our staff
I'm
can.
sorry, that's
No,
what I
no,
thought.
that's
You know, I've
perfectly
had this
fine.
COVID brain now, and everything's getting mixed up a little bit.
How many times have you had COVID now?
Just once, just once.
Yeah.
But there will be a celebration on January 16th at the library for Martin Luther King.
And in June, on Juneteenth.
Juneteenth, we're
Yes.
celebrating Juneteenth as an official
Yes,
holiday.
so
I
please-
stand corrected, and thank you so much.
No problem. I love your comments. So, yeah, we're doing a lot here. And it's just to live in a diverse community, both ethnically, religiously, race, creed, all of it, able, disabled in certain ways, is one of our strengths. And it's a delightful place to be. And I think we all appreciate the diversity that we live in. And kudos to our residents for stepping up and making this the best place for us to live, and I just am very grateful. Anyone else? We'll move on now to city manager update.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. Just a couple things this evening. The American Red Cross is sponsoring a blood drive this Wednesday, January 11th, from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. at the Costic Center. They wanted to let everyone know that anyone who donates will automatically be entered for a chance to win a trip for two to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, our Lions don't have a chance at that, but it is in Phoenix, so hopefully it'll be warmer. And in order to register to donate blood, visit the website www.redcrossblood.org/Super Bowl. Councilperson Boloware mentioned MLK Day. It is on January 16th. City Hall will be closed that day. There are a lot of activities going on that weekend that are sponsored with and through the Farmington Community Library. And so I would encourage all of our residents to view the Farmington Community Library's website at farmlib, that's farmlib.org, for all of that programming information across that whole weekend and on Monday as well. Just as a note for council, I mentioned that we do have our goal-setting session next Friday, or we have our goal-setting session coming up. So if you could, please get me your agenda items by the 13th so that we can put the agenda together. That would be helpful. Also, a couple of other dates that I need some feedback from council on. We're planning on having a joint meeting with the Planning Commission at the Planning Commission's regular meeting on the 16th of February. That's a Thursday night. That's to go over the planning master plan. So if you could let me know if you're available that night. And then kind of thinking ahead from a scheduling perspective, the City Council meeting of March 27th, council may want to consider rescheduling that meeting because NLC is that same week. So looking at either March 20th or the 6th?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 6th of March. So please email me with your preference. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. And next item on the agenda is a public hearing and consideration of approval of the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34 zoning, Article 5.0 Site Standards, Section 5.7 recreational equipment or trailers in order to revise the time period during which recreational equipment or trailers may be parked in residential districts for loading and unloading and maintenance. And I want to point out that this did come to us from an email from a resident, and we are very grateful to that resident for letting us know how difficult this was and that our 24-hour period was a little out of date. And we took a look at it, and we're always here to serve. So this is our chance to update an ordinance that was not doing what it was supposed to do.
I'm Charmaine Kettler-Schmaltz, the Director of Planning and Community Development, and we're bringing before you tonight the first text amendment for 2023. As the mayor described, this is an amendment to the zoning ordinance to extend the time frame allowed for folks to load and unload their recreational vehicles in front of their homes. Storage is a separate topic that is outlined in the codes separately. And we did do some research into neighboring communities and communities of similar size and found that the 72 hours seems to be the standard that most communities are following for that activity. And we did add in some language so that the system wouldn't be gamed. So you could do a 72-hour period within 5 days. So if you leave, fuel your vehicle, do some maintenance and come back, the 72 hours does not start from zero. It's including that time frame within a 5-day period. Let's see what else. So the amendment that is before you this evening is up for a public hearing. It was reviewed by our Planning Commission on 2 dates, September the 15th. It was introduced, and November the 17th, it was recommended to City Council for adoption. Following the public hearing this evening, we're looking for a motion to approve the text amendment language, and I am available either prior or after the public hearing to answer any questions.
Thank you. For those watching at home and in the audience, the way we change ordinances, especially when it comes to zoning, is the idea came to us from a resident. We looked at it, we sent it on to the planning department to research. They decided, yes, we needed to update the ordinance. The planning commission writes the ordinance, passes the ordinance, and sends it on to the council for approval. We have a first reading with a public hearing, and then the next meeting we get together is usually when we have the final passage of the ordinance. So that's why government doesn't work overnight, but it's just the law and the way we do things. So I'll now open the public hearing, and anybody in the audience who wishes to speak can come up, and please keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes.
You mean 5?
No, 3.
I'm not real clear, and I wanted to know if I could get some more information. When you say maintenance, are you talking about washing it and cleaning it, or are you talking about changing the oil, changing the tires? Because I've been seeing a lot of people in Farmington Hills that are servicing their cars out front, and when you ride by, there's a lot of oil in the driveway, and you're seeing nuts and bolts on the streets. Now, I mean, I don't care about people having oil in their driveway, but I thought that there was something already in place that prohibited you from servicing your car in the driveway. So are we talking about that type of maintenance on a recreational vehicle, or just washing and cleaning it out? Could you be
I
specific?
will turn this over to our trusty
Thank you.
planning director. Good questions. That's you.
Finish up the public hearing.
You want me to, should I wait until the public hearing is completely over?
Yes.
Okay, I'll wait until it's over. We'll get you an answer. Anybody else wish to speak on this ordinance? Seeing no one, I will now close the public hearing. We're getting your steps in.
Yeah, that's okay. As far as maintenance, yes. If you have standard routine maintenance, either on an RV or on a vehicle, if it's of concern to you, you can contact our zoning ordinance, but we do allow for folks to do regular maintenance on their driveway. You can't have the vehicle in an unserviceable condition for an extended period of time, but whatever is necessary for routine maintenance is permitted. Spilling of materials onto the driveway, polluting our waterways, that is something that we are concerned about. And if you see that, you can get in contact with our code enforcement office and they will follow up.
Okay. Any questions from council? A motion, Dr. Massey?
I got a question down here.
Okay. I have one really quick question. I think I know the answer to it. I just want to confirm it. And so this is limiting the time for which people can park the RV for loading it for a trip or unloading it from a trip, or just little maintenance items. But it doesn't affect if Cousin John brings his family over and parks in your driveway for a week while they're visiting you and they have their RV. This one's specifically storage, maintenance, and that kind of thing, correct?
It is specifically for that topic.
Thank you.
And in fact, the ordinance does address that, and it is specifically prohibited to have dwellers in the unit on your driveway.
It is currently and would be continuing with this particular code. Mary.
Councilmember Newland.
So I had the same concern. As we know, during the pandemic, many families were dependent upon RVs and driveways for their loved ones to live in. So this would prohibit that from occurring, correct?
Yes, as I mentioned, it is currently in the code, and it would continue within the regulations that we're proposing. Thank you for reaching out to the manager's office earlier today, because it afforded me an opportunity to check in with our code enforcement office since we've been in pandemic status for a couple of years, just to see what had previously occurred on that topic, with the consideration of people utilizing these spaces for separating from their family members, I did check in with our code enforcement officers. They've had this situation occur a few times over the last 3 years. They mentioned to me about 5 instances where they received a report of someone residing within an RV in the front of the home. When they investigated, it was due to separating from their family members, either due to a concern that they had been exposed and were waiting for results of a test in order not to infect their families, or folks that were separating from their families because they were currently ill. Those are handled on a case-by-case basis, and administratively, I don't see any difference in that moving forward. We're able to communicate with the folks who are on those properties, understand what their circumstances are, and relay that to the neighboring families who are understanding of the situation. So it doesn't encourage, and it doesn't, quote, allow for that sort of circumstance, but we are on a case-by-case basis working with the residents of Farmington Hills when we have extenuating circumstances such as we do during the pandemic.
So there's been no untoward impact to those families who've had either loved ones working in the healthcare community and/or those who are choosing to live in the RV because they don't want to expose family members, potentially?
Under those circumstances, that's correct. There were no tickets written, and there was no issue of having undue circumstances.
Mayor?
Okay, yes.
May I add a thought to that? If that were a widespread situation where a lot of communication was made by residents to the city, I would liken it perhaps to what happened with the businesses in the city during the pandemic when they were experiencing challenges with seating and whatnot. They came to the city and the city temporarily relaxed its ordinances. So I would suggest that if that occurred on a more widespread basis, that's also an option to bring it to city council during such a circumstance, potentially for a temporary relaxation, like you did before.
Yeah. Okay, Councilmember,
Yep, finish, let her finish.
yes.
So should we look at, talking about how we, with the businesses, restaurants, should we consider a list of ordinances that we would have to quickly look at, quickly, so there would be no untoward effect if we need this situation again?
Yes, if I may.
Or continue right now. I mean, if I had a family member who was going to be, had COVID, out the RV they would go, so.
If I may?
Yes.
Yes, I mean, I think the city reacted fairly quickly to the businesses in the community, and this would be even a more pressing item of urgency. And in the meantime, of course, as Ms. Kettler-Schmaltz mentioned, relaxation of the ordinance from an enforcement standpoint until city council makes a decision. I think that was happening as well with some of the businesses at the time.
Right. But I don't think we need to make contingencies for things that aren't occurring right now. Councilmember Knoll.
While we're on this topic, sorry, I'm going to slightly switch the subject, but it's somewhat related since we are talking about trailers and recreational vehicles. Similar to that, we have a situation right now where if you have a business, a restaurant in a strip mall, you are not technically, our ordinance does not allow you to park your delivery van or small box truck that you use for, you know, your catering business or to deliver when people order online and maybe you just don't have a car, but you have more of a van or a small box truck. Right now, those are not actually allowed to park overnight for an extended period of time in our parking lots. And that needs to change. Numerous restaurants have delivery vans or box trucks. They need to be able to park them in the parking lot of the strip mall where they are leasing. Also, if you have any sort of automotive business in your community and they are going to also have cars that they need for testing or research and development that they are also going to need to park in their lot. Basically, the city just doesn't enforce it. We just kind of turn a blind eye to it, but we need to change our ordinance. That's not the way you should be doing things. We need to change our ordinance. I did actually bring this up maybe about 2 years ago, and I don't think, and then COVID happened, and it just, nothing ever went anywhere on it. It needs to happen. as soon as possible. We do not need to wait for a master plan revision to do this. This is something we can do right now. I've had brokers complain to me before because when they want to go to lease out a space in their strip mall and the business coming in finds out they can't park their box truck or their van in the parking lot overnight, they don't want to lease from them. And then the broker has to tell them, well, don't worry about it. The city doesn't really enforce it. It's fine, it's fine. But they say, no, I can't do that. My attorneys have to be able to, attorneys read in black and white. It's a black and white agreement. And they then are hesitant to lease in that commercial strip mall because of the city's ordinance on that. So this subject reminded me that that is something that's got to get done.
Okay, can we put this on the 21st goal-setting session? Quickly
Yeah.
get a consensus and then move on from there? I think there's a lot of agreement with you on that. Okay, so we'll just have a quick conversation.
Thank you, and I'm sorry to switch the subjects, but this
No,
reminded me of
no,
it.
you're right.
It's similar, talking about recreational vehicles and trailers.
Yeah, and a lot of more stores are delivering, so you might see a Kroger truck or an Instacart truck or something, and we need to update, yeah. Okay, but we've closed the public hearing. We've had some questions. Are we ready for a motion? Okay, I will entertain one. Mr. Bridges.
Mayor, I move the council approve the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 34, zoning, Article 5.0, site standards, Section 5.7, recreational equipment or trailers, in order to revise the time period during which recreational equipment or trailers may be parked in residential districts for loading, unloading, and maintenance.
Okay, is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Mr. Bridges, seconded by Councilmember Knoll. Any further discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Knoll,
Yes.
Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Yes, thank you. Okay, brings us to item number 4, unfinished business, consideration of approval. This is after we had the first reading. This is a different ordinance, but we read it before in 2022, and now we're coming back the meeting later for a discussion of enactment. Consideration of approval of enactment of ordinance C-12023 to amend the Farmington Hills City Code, Chapter 4, alcoholic licenses, Article 1, in general, and Article 2, licensing, to revise application requirements and procedures for the approval of on-premise liquor licenses and approval of summary for publication. This includes the, yes, go ahead.
Sure, be happy to. Just very briefly, this, as mentioned by the mayor, this was an item that was on your agenda, I believe at your last meeting before the end of the year, where you had a first reading introduction of this ordinance. It's amending your liquor license ordinance, which governs both the issuances of liquor licenses as well as regulations relating to alcoholic beverages and various aspects of that. Throughout the city. So it's a comprehensive ordinance. It hasn't been updated in a long time. So the effort here was to update this ordinance on both ends, the liquor licensing, because we have some new licenses that are, it appears there's going to be applications submitted for them to get it into place for those purposes, and also to update just generally in terms of your regulations, bring them in line with the Michigan Liquor Control Act and updates that have been made to that, as well as adjustments to the practices that the city has been undertaking and changes in the industry over the years. It was discussed at your last meeting. There have been no changes to the ordinance. It is as it was presented for introduction.
Okay, so this isn't including the updates that we want to do in conjunction with the master plan. This is just basic alignment with the state law. Is there a motion? Yes. Dr.
Thank you. I'll move the enactment of ordinance C-1-2023 to amend the Farmington Hills City Code, Chapter 4, alcoholic liquors, Article 1 in general, and Article 2 licensing, to revise application requirements and procedures for the approval of new on-premise liquor licenses and approval of summary for publication.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Dr. Bruce, seconded by Councilmember Bolaware. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Bridges,
Yes.
Bruce,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Noel,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Yes. And that brings us to item number 5, new business, consideration of approval of introduction of an ordinance to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, to provide for the amendment of retirement benefits and retiree health care benefits in accordance with applicable collective bargaining agreements, and to extend consistent benefits to exempt and executive employees at the city, CMR 1-22-01. And we have Mr. Scribble up here to fill us in.
Good evening, thank you. I'll just lean in and make sure you can hear me okay. So this is essentially a repeat of the ordinance update that was passed in December by the City Council. This time, it is extending this introduction and first reading, if it proceeds to a second reading and adoption, would extend the same changes to the ASME bargaining group based on the tentative agreement that you approved earlier tonight. And also to the 47th District Court. There's a handful of exempt employees, general exempt employees like myself, who the court employs who were hired after September 1 of 2015, which is their Tier 1, Tier 2 cutoff date. And so this would have the effect of providing them with the same reentry opportunity into the defined benefit pension or defined benefit retirement programs, including pension and the retiree healthcare stipend that you all approved for the other employee groups in the city. So, and there's also just a handful of other cleanup items in there that I can explain if anyone has any questions about them, but they're pretty minor housekeeping issues and that were, that need to be.
Does anybody have any questions?
I have a comment. Good.
Yes.
Tom, thank you for your presentation. You mentioned for ASME employees, but this also extends to the executive staff as well. Is that correct?
To the 47th District Court.
The different district court.
Yeah, 47th District Court. They have a handful of exempt, not executive, I don't think executive, but exempt employees over there. Yeah.
So you just created some uniformity here.
Correct.
Across the board. Okay.
Yes, upon their request. That was a request of their director, Stacy Park, in her conference with her leadership over there. The judges asked her to ask for the same opportunity.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, any other questions? Is there a motion? Dr. Massey?
Madam Mayor, I would move approval of the introduction of an ordinance to amend the Farmington Hills Code of Ordinances, Chapter 2, to provide for the amendment of retirement benefits and retiree health care benefits in accordance with applicable collective bargaining agreements and to extend consistent benefits to exempt and executive employees of the city.
Is there a second?
Support.
It's been moved by Dr. Massey, seconded by Dr. Bruce. Any questions, discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Councilmembers Bruce,
Yes.
Newland,
Yes.
Bolaware,
Yes.
Massey,
Yes.
Noel,
No.
Bridges,
Yes.
and Mayor Barnett.
Yes.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the attorney's report. Any questions of the attorney? Seeing none, that now leaves us with one item left, adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn? Dr. Massey has moved to adjourn. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Dr. Bruce. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Well, we are done. Good night, Farmington Hills.